Welcome to Le Quizat video. Today we're going to be talking about Collector.exe's lore. I will be reading it. Alright. Now, this being was never supposed to exist, but something happened, so now he does. This was Sonic.exe. So as you know, Sonic.exe killed Eggman, Tails, Knuckles, and brought them back to life. But this story is different. I just realized I made a mistake. Alright, never mind. The story begins as Sonic.exe is chasing Tails when all of a sudden Tails finds a sharp bone. Tails stands and waits for Sonic.exe. And then he cuts off Sonic.exe's right arm. Sonic.exe is in pain, but he laughs and spin dashes into Tails. And he cuts off Tails' arm. When he's holding it, when all of a sudden a tentacle takes Tails' arm from his arm and fuses with Sonic.exe. And then he turned into Tails, and he found out he can turn into Tails and himself. And when he turns into his he has Tails' arm, and Tails' body was gone. So now he goes after Knuckles and pretends to be Tails. And they look for Sonic when all of a sudden Tails punches and grabs Knuckles' heart, turning into his true form, and kills Knuckles, ripping off the arm. A tentacle above Tails' arm puts Knuckles' arm there, and Knuckles' body was gone. Eggman had saw what happened. He goes to hide, but Sonic.exe finds him and kills him, ripping his arm off. Soon a tentacle below his arm fuses with. Yeah, I can notice some mistakes, but never. Then Sonic.exe realized when he fused with Tails Eggman, he gained their IQ. He concentrates all his power. As soon as able to travel the multiverse, he goes after everyone on this list. Yeah, I gotta fix the list. Start. No. Edit. Okay, okay, hold up. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Edit message. What the hell? Okay, this is not. Okay, never mind. So, what was supposed to be on the list was Starved, and I was going to remove the Faker because EXE is actually Faker. You can pause the video. It's. Yeah. Collector.exe teleports to what looks to be a cornfield in the dark. Looking around, he finds what looks to be Sonic, but there's something off about this Sonic. Hold up, I think that's louder, but I'll check the recording afterwards. But there's something off about this Sonic. His shoes were wrong. Was wrong. His colors were wrong. The Sonic looked at Collector and says, "What a weird day. You look like me." Collector looks at a burnt body. It was Tails. Then the sun turns black, and this was no Sonic. It was Faker. He started laughing, but now he started laughing, and he was transforming. Now Faker showed his true form, and he went to go attack Collector. But since Collector has a big IQ, go to school, kids, he was able to calculate when Faker was going to attack and spin dash as soon as he got close enough, going right through Faker, killing him as he rips off his arm. Collector looks at Faker, saying, "Wow, give me a challenge!" While laughing, he turns into his true form and fused with Faker. Faker's last words were, "See you in," before disappearing. Collector decides to go after Curse. When Collector got there, Curse saying, "Stay away!" But immediately after he said that, he saw how Collector looked like. With a smile on Collector's face, like you had just stolen a candy bar. What am I doing? He says, "Wow, you're my next challenge? This is gonna be easy." He was cut off by Collector attacking him. Collector falls to the ground. "You caught me off guard," says Collector. "But that won't do anything." Collector lunges at him. I could see that pain. But even with Curse's bad legs, he was able to move out of the way. Then Collector looks at Curse's smile with an evil smile. Curse's legs with an evil smile. He ran in circles around Curse, hitting his legs. Soon, Curse falls to the ground, and Collector kills him, ripping off his arm. Curse says, "I'm sorry, Knuckles," and before he fades away, Collector laughs. That's not what he sounds like. It's like I don't know. As he fused with Curse. And Collector knew he needs more power, so he goes after Fatal Error next. Fatal Fatal Error appeared before him, and Collector, with an evil smile, says, "So you're Fatal Error. This will be easier." And at that moment, Fatal Error took control of the world. He was on. He was on. Soon took control of the world he was on, and soon he was getting attacked by Fatal Error from every side. Collector.exe turns into Sonic.exe, trying to outrun his attacks, but it was no use. He kept getting hit, and Fatal Error says, "So you did this easy." I tried my best. Then Sonic.exe runs directly at Fatal Error, jumping and still getting hit. But when all the arms tried to hit him at once, Sonic.exe teleports behind Fatal Error and ducks. Fatal Error hits himself with full powers, causing him to glitch out like this. And just as Sonic.exe was going to spin dash towards him to end the fight, he turned in his true form. Fatal Error laughing. Sonic.exe realized to beat a virus is with something to get rid of the virus. Then he sees a file. Sonic.exe goes to the file, trying not to get hit by Fatal Error. And Sonic.exe grabbed the file and ripped it. Fatal Error starts to glitch out, saying, "No!" before Sonic.exe kills Fatal Error, fading away. As Sonic.exe says, "Geez, that was harder than I thought," throwing the file on the ground. And he turned into his true form to fuse with Fatal Error. After Collector.exe beat Fatal Error, he was exhausted. He wasn't expecting Fatal Error to be that hard. Then, out of nowhere, Archie Sonic appears. Out of nowhere, saying, "Listen, dude, stop ruining the universe. Go grab a chili dog." Collector.exe decided to look at Archie Sonic, and he thought to himself, "There's no way I can beat him. I just beat Fatal Error after 46 minutes. So Collector gets up. Collector decides to use Fatal Error's power to corrupt Archie to always hear Fleetway. As soon as Archie looks away, Collector teleports to kill Void, seeing as easier. Archie looks back and realizes he just got tricked. But Archie also realized that he is somehow a bit weaker. Soon he starts to fall, and he's Sonic now. Sonic doesn't realize, but Collector.exe also left a note. "Pay attention, this is important," saying, "Let's meet again, shall we, Sonic?" Enraged, Sonic tries to find a way to escape. He runs everywhere, and then he finds a file. It has some of Fatal Error's powers. Sonic is a bit nervous, but he gets the power to stop Collector.exe and escape. And now he is part Fatal Error, part Sonic. He decides to escape. His name is Fatal Sonic. Collector.exe finds himself in a void, and Void sees him. Void takes one look at him, saying, I guess you're here to kill me. Collector.exe worried, remember, he has Fatal Air's powers. Soon he corrupts the Void. Void doesn't understand, trying to take off his mask. Collector.exe spin dashes into him, ripping his arm off and killing him. Void says before he fades away, I'm sorry, Tails. Collector.exe fused with Void. Then Collector.exe realized he has gotten bigger. So he decides he wants his own form. But for that he needs the most powered .exes. Why are there so many mistakes? I don't know. So he decides to teleport to Distorted Sonic. Okay, let's pause. Distorted Sonic. You might not be able to find him anywhere because he is actually another creepypasta I made. Way shorter than this. I can link. I can make a doc. I have made a doc. Yeah. Oh, I wonder. Can I? I can do that! Hooray! So he decides to teleport to the Sword Sonic, but upon entering there, a glitch ring was shot at him. He managed to dodge, but the Sword Sonic looks at him. He says, "So you want to kill me? You will know your reward will not come easily." He starts laughing, and the world below him becomes his void. He duplicates himself and starts attacking Collector. Collector dodges every attack, but then realizes his skin is now getting corrupted. So without any hesitation, he decided to use the power of his tentacles, the tentacles that make him fuse with everyone, and he grabbed the real Distorted Sonic until Distorted Sonic laughs, spin dash the tentacles. Collector.exe is hard and mad and decides to use Fatal Air's power so he can kill Distorted Sonic. But Distorted Sonic knew what he was about to do. Pause again. I never mentioned this form of Distorted Sonic in the document because because I wanted to. But the Distorted Sonic is actually just a creepypasta. This is a whole story. But Distorted Sonic knew what he was about to do. So he used the Chaos Emeralds to upgrade himself. Soon he becomes this freakish distortion monster. It makes it so only Collector.exe is Sonic.exe. Sonic.exe realizes that he's harder than he thought. But he still goes on to attack him. Distorted Sonic, also known as Glitcher, makes glitch tentacles and starts tearing the world apart. Oh my god. Sonic.exe starts running at him, dodging all that is thrown at him. Glitcher has had enough and says, "You will die in this world." And Sonic.exe decides to spin dash what has been thrown at him, and it hits back at Glitcher. And once he has got hit, he lost focus. And Sonic.exe spin dash into Glitcher, knock him out of his monster form before he can realize he has already been killed, his arm getting ripped off. And Distorted Sonic says, I wish this hadn't happened before. Well, goodbye. Then out of nowhere, Fatal Sonic, also was known as Archie Sonic, comes into the void. Collector.exe says, I thought I left you in that world. Fatal says, you left some power for me. Collector.exe says, well, I guess you have no choice but to die. Fatal and Collector.exe lunges at each other. Fatal Sonic went for the glitch punch, but Collector.exe fused with Distorted Sonic, and glitch tentacles grabbed Fatal Sonic and threw Fatal Sonic into a sharp rock. Fatal Sonic screamed in pain, ah! And he coughed out some blood. He looked at Collector.exe, laughing with rage in his eyes. He screamed out loud. Collector.exe soon realized he forgot about the Chaos Emeralds. What an idiot. With rage in Fatal Sonic's heart, he turned into a new form of Super Sonic. Fatal Air plus Super Sonic. Sonic.exe, Collector.exe, even with a ton of strength, he looks scared and a bit nervous. But he decides to use something he has been saving. He turns in the void and takes off his mask. Soon, Fatal Sonic was starting to get sucked in. But he wasn't nervous. He had rage in his heart, and that rage can't be broken. With all the power, he charges up a big blast and shot at him. And before Void can realize, he was shot and turned into Sonic.exe. He is in pain, and this time he's not laughing. He turns into Fatal Air and screams. Before Fatal Sonic can know it, he was hit from behind and was now glitching out. Trying to fight, trying to keep fighting, he ends up losing the powers of the Chaos Emeralds. And just as Fatal Air is about to kill him, Fatal Sonic teleports away. Fatal Error turns into his true form, and Collector.exe decides to go after Sonic.exe. I will turn this into a document, and on the last video of me reading this, I will link it so you can read it yourself, and on my Twitter. Meanwhile, with Fatal Sonic, he teleports to what looks like to be Green Hills, but there's something off. No one is here. There's blood, but nothing else. Then he realized this was Collector.exe's original universe. He looks around and goes to Angel Island, but he couldn't find Angel Island. He found Angel Island, but then he realized he found Angel Island, but it was all bugged out like a computer glitch. He looked everywhere. Soon, almost everything was bugged out. The more power Collector.exe gets, the more he destroys the universe. He sets out to kill Collector. Now, as Collector.exe teleports to Sonic.exe, he stays in his true form. Sonic.exe saw what Collector was. He looked up and down and said, "Let's have a talk. You must be tired." Collector.exe was surprised, but he kept his guard up. Sonic.exe said, "I wouldn't want you to be tired when my games start." But before Sonic.exe could start the games, Collector.exe rips off his arm. Sonic.exe said, "The games only began," before fading away. Collector.exe fused with Sonic.exe, but this time something different happens. He starts screaming like a maniac. He starts screaming, and now he has Sonic.exe's hand. Collector was wondering what just happened, but he set out to kill Sunky. He teleports him. Sunky was just eating milk and cereal when Collector.exe grabbed him with his tentacle and made Sunky drop his milk and cereal. When Sunky looked down, there was one tear in his eye, and he said, "Milk, cereal, my milk and cereal." Then he started to turn into a monster form, an EXE known as Milk Cereal.exe. Sunky was huge. He could stretch his arms as long as he wants. Collector.exe was actually scared, but he pulled through. He started warping the world. But Collector.exe remembered two .exes that did that. Distorted Sonic and Fatal Error. So he decides to use the powers of Fatal Error to corrupt Sunky's vision. But Sunky was too smart to get fooled by it. And he went to attack Collector. But Collector knew he needs more power. So with determination, he went to attack Sunky, attacking him with every punch. But Collector.exe turns into Distorted Sonic, and he has the Chaos Emeralds. So he turned into Distortion Monster. And Glitcher grabbed Milk Cereal.exe and started corrupting Sunky. Sunky tried to resist it, but then Collector crushed Sunky's head and ripped his arm off and fused with Sunky. He decides to make his own form, but he wants one more arm. Hog/Scorch. But Collector.exe was scared. What if he was more powerful than Sunky? But he went on anyways. Teleporting to Hog, but when he was about to do it, Fatal Sonic comes out of nowhere and attacks Collector, teleporting him somewhere. And Fatal Sonic teleports to the place he sent Collector. Collector was teleported to a void that had the world he just destroyed. Fatal Sonic appears and says, "Look what you've done. I'm going to kill you right here, right now." Collector.exe with a smile on his face says, "Go on, do it." Fatal Sonic lunges at Collector.exe, but Collector.exe grabs him at the right moment. He says, "I'm smarter than you. I was hoping you would get more powerful before I killed you. Well, you brought this upon yourself." And that's where we're gonna end off today. And I know what you're thinking. Error. There's no milk and cereal.exe. I know. I created it specifically for this lore. Anyways, I hope you liked the first video of this lore.